You talk about how you went to deliver the Ramnath Goenka Memorial Lecture of the Indian Express Group. You wrote about what you said in that lecture. I think it was, if I'm not, was that the lecture where you mentioned?
Yes, Ramnath Goenka Memorial Lecture.
Where you say the judiciary should be on the front foot.
Yes.
There is a need for an independent judiciary. It must remain uncontaminated.
Yes.
At some point, I also mentioned, you write, that despite the judiciary being the weakest of the three branches of government, it was the least dangerous for civil liberties. A combination of the judiciary with either of the two organs would make it a lethal weapon so far as civil liberties are concerned. Now, all of this, and you also say that Fali Nariman told you later, I think the lecture was fantastically...
This is reported.
Huh?
Yeah. He didn't tell me. It's reported.
Reported. I think the lecture was fantastically reasoned and well thought out. He expressed what many of us feel and are not in a position to say. Fantastic. Now, here's the context. The context of this is the fact that the world knows it's looking at a person who is set to be the Chief Justice of India. You have a BJP-led government at the center. There are people in Delhi who have been uprooted from the political and power establishment after Narendra Modi has become Prime Minister, Amit Shah has become BJP chief. There's a complete shift in Lutyens' Delhi. There's a lot of focus on upcoming cases. Ayodhya is round the corner and they need a counterbalancing. Important judgments are to be delivered before the next general election. And they know exactly when you're going to be CJI. The timing is critical. So the whole world is looking at you and they fall in love with you. May I, with your permission, quote a little bit of what the media at that time and this lobby said about you. Indira Jaising says about you: reading the lecture of Justice Gogoi is no substitute for listening to him. His body language, his determination, the conviction with which he speaks, the quiet passion, though she misspells quiet. I think she should correct her English when tweeting. Was something to see. Happy times for the judiciary will soon be back. This was on the 12th of July 2018. Now, the press conference was on the 12th of January 2018. So in the intervening period between January and July 2018, when you deliver this lecture, etc., people say your press conference was historic. You were the star of the lobby. They pinned their hopes on you.
To do what?
To do what they would like.
How is that possible? I will do what I think is right.
But you raised the expectations.
I'm not responsible for raising anybody's expectations. How am I responsible for raising anybody's expectations? Is there any quarrel with any of the propositions that I have laid out in that Ramnath Goenka Memorial Lecture which you just read out? Can anybody quarrel with any of those propositions? If these propositions give rise to expectations in people, those are legitimate expectations. The judiciary should be free and independent.
Yes.
Yes? Any doubt about it?
Timing.
No?
Timing. At that time.
Yes.
If I flip the argument...
There can be no doubt about that proposition at any point of time, regardless of time. Yeah. This is what I said in Ramnath Goenka Memorial Lecture, and this is what I say even today.
No, but there was a context.
What context?
Every word was read in that appropriate context.
What context?
Okay. So
what is that context?
Okay. Can I explain the context?
Yes,
the context was that there needs to be a leash on the government. That was the context. Allow me, my interpretation.
Okay, sure.
There needs to be a leash on the government, and the institution which can do so is the Supreme Court of India. And the exact words, if you were to look of the Ramnath Goenka lecture, can be construed by some people as a flag of upcoming revolt against the asymmetry in the political system. And may I tell you why I feel those words, which were the words which suggested that? Can I suggest the words?
Yeah, but your questions are getting a little longish, right?
Yeah.
So I will answer what you have said.
No, but can I give?
And you read out that later.
Okay.
You said the word leash. The government needs to be put on a leash. I wouldn't agree with that word. The constitutional scheme is that each organ is controlled by the other. And therefore, the judiciary does control actions of the government, the executive, which is not in conformity with law. Therefore, judicial independence to have the government act in accordance with law is something very fundamental to the judiciary. I didn't say something which is revolutionary in that Ramnath lecture.
You did.
What is that?
You did.
Yeah, tell me.
You did. Not only did you say something revolutionary, you spoke about the need for a revolution.
Yes.
And you said,
yes,
I stress the necessity for a revolution.
Yes.
And not reforms in the judiciary to make courts available to the common citizen.
Yes.
I emphasize the need for speaking truth.
Right.
And not bowing to power.
Right.
Who was in power?
Right.
Who was in power?
Whoever was in power.
Whoever. It was the BJP which was in power. That's how it would have been read.
Mr. Goswami.
And the sense was that I mean, at least the picture being given was that the government is trying to put institutions under a leash, trying to undermine the Supreme Court. And here's Justice Gogoi said there will be a revolution. We will waive the manner of revolt if necessary. That's how it was seen.
You see, the revolution that...
You raised the hopes. The point I'm making is you raised the hopes.
I raise hopes even today in a lot of section of people. Right. Now, I go by these words even today. What the judiciary needs today is a revolution, not reforms. And what do I mean by revolution? A change of the mindset. That is a revolution.
Elaborate, please.
1 minute. Reforms are increasing the number of judges, increasing the courts, giving this infrastructure, that infrastructure. That is reforms. Revolution is in the mind of the judge. Freedom, independence, not acting at the dictates of the executive, not acting at the dictates of any section of the people, including the section you referred to as the lobby.